in the sunshine, as well as Gene Segura, all of them hitting over 320 in day games. We'll ride the link rail for free now through June 3rd. Show your game ticket for a free round-trip ride to Safeco Field, courtesy of the Mariners. Save both time and money by taking the train to the game. For details, visit mariners.com/go. What a great deal. Don't have to worry about parking at all. Where are you rooting on the Mariners today? Use that hashtag where I root, presented by Alaska Airlines. Charles documents Charlotte's first major league game with this snapshot. And this crew is skipping school to watch the Mariners beat Houston, but apparently it's okay because they're playing hooky with their principal. And Mac's better half has the cap on backwards, Griffey style in the hammock. What a life. Mac sends that one in. The hashtag to use is where I root, presented by Alaska Airlines. But a reminder, when you use that hashtag, it does give us permission to use your photo. All right, it's the last game before the Mariners head out on the road. And while the team should get at least a couple of players back from the DL, the broadcasting crew has a couple going on the DL. Been on the DL, actually. Dave Sims is having surgery today. We wish him the best. And also, Rick Riz is going to have surgery tomorrow. His first road trip he's missing in 44 years. Aaron Goldsmith, Mike Blowers. Can I just say be careful and no more basketball? You know better, Mike.
Oh,
Aaron,
no chance for me to play basketball, that's for sure.
You know, the Riz Vince Carter dunk where the elbow went and hung on the rim like that.
That hurt the bicep?
Yeah, that would be problematic for any bicep, especially Rico's. So it's going to be a different feel on the road trip for sure. But hey, Mike, today, you know, the Mariners have a chance to keep their streak alive of not losing a series. They could split it here today. And another great pitching matchup. Marco Gonzalez going for the Mariners. Charlie Morton off to a sensational start, goes for the Houston Astros.
And you look at Gonzalez. He was really good in his opener against the Giants, but his last two outings he has struggled. Hasn't been able to get deep into the ball game at all. It's been fastball command early. So look for him to be sharp today. I think you're going to see his changeup early. That's his best pitch for me. Also mixing his curveball if he falls behind to get back into counts. He has to be careful with George Springer, the leadoff hitter. When you look at lefties this year, Springer, all 4 of his home runs against left-handers.
And for Charlie Morton, he's only given up a couple of earned runs over his first 3 starts.
Yeah, just plus stuff again for the Mariners. His average fastball this year is at 96 miles an hour. Has one of the best curveballs that you're going to see, and in 18 innings he has 25 strikeouts. So another pitcher with a lot of strikeouts, and he will throw his curveball a lot. This one is a little bit different than the other 2 right-handers. He'll use his fastball more times. He will hit 98, 99 miles an hour.
Tied a career best with a dozen strikeouts his last time out. Hey, some nice defense by the Mariners last night. A couple of double plays, including this one. Not an easy guy to double up, Jose Altuve. We've got more coming up from Safeco Field. Final game of this 4-game series in just a moment. By Safeco Insurance, find a local agent at safeco.com. Do more. And by the Emerald Queen Casino, presenting R&B sensation Brian McKnight, June 2nd. Tickets at emeraldqueen.com. Now the sun is out, the roof is open here at Safeco Field, and Mike Robinson-Cano just continues to get on base. Last night, driving in the lone run for the Mariners. And you look at the numbers this year for Robinson-Cano, and maybe it's not a surprise that he's getting on base, seems like multiple times every night. Let's take a look at the chase percentage. So swinging for pitches outside the strike zone. You can see, Mike, especially relative to 2015, how much it has decreased so far this year.
We've talked a lot about Robinson and how healthy he has been this year, but if you go all the way back to the start of spring training, he has been locked in, and it looks to me as if he has really made an effort to stay inside the strike zone. That's why his average is taken off this year. He's been a hot hitter for them, getting on base a lot, taking a lot of walks, and there you can see the percentages, 22% of the time. It was really a good number for Robinson-Cano when you look at what he's done over the previous 3 years here in Seattle. Really off to a great start, staying inside the strike zone.
A very impressive start for Robinson-Cano. He and the Mariners taking on Charlie Morton here today. Now the rain is gone, the sun is out, and we've got Mariners baseball here on Root Sports. The finale, Mariners and the Astros from gorgeous Safeco Field, coming up right after this. An absolutely beautiful day for baseball here at Safeco Field. The final game of the series, the final game of the homestand. The Mariners looking for a series split against the defending World Series champion, Houston Astros. Happy as always you could join us for Mariners baseball on Root Sports, as this is an absolutely glorious day here in Seattle. The Mariners about to hit the road for a 3-city road trip as they look to even up this series and finish with a split against the Houston Astros. David Freitas doing the catching for the Mariners today. Marco Gonzalez up on the mound as we take a look at George Springer and the rest of the starting lineup for Houston.
Good night for George Springer last night. 2 for 4 with a double, a couple of RBIs. He leads the team with 4 home runs. Evan Gattis will be the cleanup hitter and DH for this afternoon. Marwin Gonzalez does a little bit of everything for Houston. He will hit 6th in the lineup. 2 for 4 last night, a couple of RBIs for him. And for Marco Gonzalez again, really good in his first outing. His last 2 outings have been a struggle for him. overall this year, an 8.25 ERA in 12 innings. He has 11 strikeouts, just a couple of walks. Opponent's hitting .358, so he'll have to stay out of the middle of the plate. Good fastball control. His fastball typically 90 to 92, a cutter, a changeup, occasional curveball to go with it. And look at the defense behind him. Last night we were able to welcome back Ben Gamble. He will be in left field. Daniel Vogelback at first base. And as Aaron mentioned, David Freitas will do the catching this afternoon.
Now, the Mariners have not lost a series so far this year. Hoping for a split today behind Marco, who was fantastic, Mike, in his season debut. Pitched into the 7th, first road trip of the season in San Francisco. His last 2 times out, though, 2 1/3, 3 1/3 innings.
The biggest difference, and I like that right there. Start him off with a breaking ball. That is something that we've seen the last few days with Springer. And I think that you're going to see that quite a bit from Gonzalez. Mentioned it, his struggles and the high average against him. It's been on his fastball for the most part. And although there's only been a couple of walks for him, it's falling behind in counts. 2-0, 2-1, 3-1, 3-2, and then having to throw his fastball in the middle of the plate, and that's hurt him the last couple of games. He was more on the edges of the plate in that opener that you were talking about.
One to Springer. Now Springer had a fantastic game last night, on base 3 times, drove in a couple of runs with a double. He's also homered in this series. And Marco behind now, 3-1. Altuve batting second on deck. Full count. Last night, what a tight ball game through 6, but it was a 6-run 7th inning for Houston. Propelled them to the win. Strike 3 called. Springer thinking he saw ball 4.
And for Marco, just challenges him. 3-1, fastball in the middle of the plate, right at the knees. Same thing, 3-2, almost identical pitches. Definitely strike. Springer didn't like it, but they're both in the strike zone.
Good start for Marco Gonzalez, now facing Jose Altuve. Now, Mike, one of the things we talked about last night was this idea of saving pitches for later in the game. I know this is something for Marco Gonzalez. Has that fantastic changeup. Looking to see that early in this one.
Yeah, I think so. And again, more importantly, just because he's coming off of a couple of outings where he struggled, and I think the changeup, which we just saw right there at 84 miles an hour, is his best pitch, and there's no reason for him to save a pitch to try to get through the lineup later in the game. The game has changed for a lot of starting pitchers, and you don't necessarily need to save anything to try to get through the lineup the 3rd time. I think right now it's more important to get through the lineup a couple of times, then you have the bullpen behind you if you need it, if your pitch count is up. And so I think Marco is in that situation right now, a young pitcher, still trying to find his way. I think Scott would like to see his changeup and his breaking ball. We've seen both here in the 1st, and just do everything he possibly can to keep the score down for as long as he can.
Ahead of Altuve. An appeal. It's 2-2.
And it used to be that way where a starting pitcher would have 3 or 4 pitches and he would save one of them and not show it until the 3rd time through the lineup, just to give the hitters a different look. The game has changed enough to where that's not the case anymore.
Full count on Altuve. Mariners winning game 1 of this series. Astros winning the next 2. Strike 3 called again. On the same pitch, no less, it looked like.
Good fastball at 91 miles an hour, and it's a bit strange. A couple of 3-2 counts. And to see Houston take the fastball 3-2, both of them clearly strikes. be looking for something different, maybe thinking he might throw his changeup 3-2.
So 2 up, 2 down for Carlos Correa. Batting nearly 300 on the early season. Now Marco making his first ever career start against the Astros. Making his 4th start this year. Off-speed pitch to make it 1-2.
Yeah, back-to-back cutters at 87 miles an hour, just off the inside corner.
Gonzalez a chance to strike out the side in order to begin the day. Another 1-2 to Correa. What a first inning for Marco Gonzalez. Strikes out Springer, Altuve, and Correa in order. Come up here, we see D. Gordon as usual.
And D. Gordon, nice night for him last night. 2 for 4, stolen base, scored a run. He will lead things off. Robinson Cano, he drove in the 1 run for the Mariners last night's ballgame. A 300 hitter against Morton, and David Freitas, he will round out the 9 for the Mariners.
In between innings, up on Mariners Vision, as you can see the alignment for D. Gordon. They had just a tremendous new video piece called Flashy or Trashy with D. Gordon. And Mike, I only caught the tail end of this one, but a prior one that I saw, probably on the first homestand, they were showing photos of celebrities, and they were asking D to comment as to whether or not a certain fashion trend was flashy or trashy.
Yes. And
they put something up with one of the Kardashians, probably Kim, and D said, I don't want any beef with the Kardashians. he wouldn't comment. He knows a power couple when he sees it. Well, Charlie Morton, who was off to such a tremendous start because of that curveball, we see it early, no surprise here today.
Again for Charlie Morton, 18 innings pitched this year, 25 strikeouts coming into the game. ERA right at 1. His average fastball 96 miles an hour. He's had a pretty good look at one of the better curveballs you're going to see.
Fastball strike to Segura.
Talking about that, the one that I liked today was the short shorts for LeBron James. he said classy just because LeBron James is the best player, and he was fine.
I don't think anybody's been calling LeBron out on that anytime soon. 1 ball and a strike to Segura. The Astros rotation is on quite the roll, which when you know the personnel and we've seen it firsthand, it's no surprise. Last night Garrett Cole 7 innings. Lance McCullers before that 11 strikeouts over 7. Opening game of the series, complete game, Dallas Keuchel. 2 out, Tuve. 2 outs. And then before the Astros came to town, it was Justin Verlander, 8 strong innings, 11 strikeouts on Sunday night. As you can see, last 5 starts, nothing easy here. A dozen strikeouts for Charlie Morton last time he was up on the bump.
Mariners knew that this was going to be a tough series with Houston, in large part because of the starting pitching. And look at those numbers.
They've had a starter reach the 6th each of the last 6 games. Here's Cano, who, no surprise, gets on base. He's reaching 16 of 17 games now for the Mariners.
We talked about the way that he's been swinging. You take a look at our Primera Supermo. First pitch fastball at 98 miles an hour. And on the infield, they were playing him to pull the ball. But one thing that we know about Robbie is he will use the entire field and he'll pick up a base hit on a first pitch fastball.
Two outs, Robbie aboard for Nelson Cruz. The average low for Nelson, only 25 at bats so far. Of course, he spent the bulk of the season on the disabled list because of the ankle injury.
Pretty good pass at that fastball, top of the strike zone at 97. Up after the game, the Mariners out on the road. 3 in Texas, 3 in Chicago, 4 in Cleveland. And hopefully some better weather than what they had on the first road trip.
We just heard that there's some rain expected over the weekend in Arlington. Hopefully that will not jeopardize one of those games. Two outs and 2 strikes against Cruz. 3 pitches. Nelson is out number 3, and Cano, after the single, is left stranded. We go to the second. Mariners and the Astros, final game of the series, scoreless. to face Springer, Altuve, and Correa, but here's what he did.
Ends up with 3 strikeouts. A couple of 3-2 counts to the first 2 hitters. Here's Altuve taking a fastball for strike 3. And then Correa, a pretty good curveball to get the 3rd strikeout of the inning. In the first inning, his fastball was right around 91 miles an hour. And we thought he might show all of his pitches in the first, and we saw that. His cutter at 87. Showed you the curveball and his changeup a number of times.
Evan Gattis DH in batting cleanup for the Astros, leads it off.
Another breaking ball. This is something that Marco certainly is capable of, and I think it's something that we're going to see as he continues to move forward. With his curveball, maybe use it a little bit more early in counts, either get back into the count or steal a strike. Fastball top of the strike zone.
The 1-2. Gamble charging and left. 1 out. The Orca card is all you need to ride the Sounder train, link light rail, buses, ferries, and streetcars. You can learn more by going to getorcasmart.com. Mike, I'm not quite sure how to react to the thaw here in Seattle. The sun is out, Mike. The roof,
the blue skies.
The roof is open.
The roof is open. We'll get to 60 degrees today.
No, don't go crazy. Let's calm down. What a day, though. First pitch strike to Alex Bregman. Had last night off. There's been so much talk about the weather around Major League Baseball this year, and people lobbying for the idea of teams with either a roof or in warmer climates being the ones essentially the exclusive hosts for April baseball, which, as great of a theory as that might sound like right now, in reality everybody needs to play some home games. You can't backlog the schedule too much. It's just kind of the way it's been this year.
The weather, I think, this year more than the past has been tougher on the guys, but I still think the best idea that I've heard is, and I agree with you, everybody has to have their openers and get to their home ballpark and get their fans excited about seeing baseball again, because you don't know where the weather is going to go from year to year. To stay in your division for that first month, and you don't have a situation as the Mariners do now, when you miss a game, which they did in Minnesota, and have to make up that one day on one of the few days that they would have off at home. You have to fly to Minnesota for the one game.
One-two to Bregman. And a right field. First base hit of the day for the Astros.
I think it was the Tigers and the Indians had a number of games because of weather, but when you're going again and staying in your division, you see those clubs a lot. You have an easier opportunity to make those games up or put together a doubleheader or something like that.
Even the idea when we were talking about the idea of some rain in Arlington when we're there, same story with that. Even if that were to happen,
right?
Be in Texas plenty of times,
right?
1 out. Bregman at first for Marwin Gonzalez. Continues his tour around the positions for the Astros today at first base.
So third base last night. Also seen him in the outfield and play some shortstop.
Tomorrow night, the first of 3. Felix up on the mound in Texas. First pitch to Gonzalez. And for a strike. Right at the knees. Mike, it's one thing to say that you play a number of positions like Marwin Gonzalez does. It's another thing that he looks like he's basically that natural position each time he's out there.
It's a great point.
I mean, even at third base yesterday, it does not look like there's a left fielder playing third base.
He's a natural shortstop. And so the infield, it's not surprised to see him play the corners. And he made a couple of really nice plays at third last night. But to me, I was more impressed making the change and going into left field to the point to where they would play him out there in the World Series. I don't think there's any more pressure than that. But AJ Hinch, their manager, was comfortable putting him out there. And it makes it easy when you have a guy that can do all those different things, and he's a switch hitter on top of that.
It only makes sense he's a switch hitter with all the versatility. 1-2 now on Marwin Gonzalez, off to a little bit of a slow start this year.
They're a little bit different offensively. Marwin with some power, but he reminds me a lot of Mark McLemore, who could do the same thing, play everywhere on the field, a switch hitter, but Mark would bring some speed to the game. Good chance we'll see McLemore in Texas this weekend.
Absolutely. One out, one on, top of the second. Gonzalez batting sixth for AJ Hinch today. Bregman the single into right field, first base runner on the afternoon for Houston. Another strikeout for Marco Gonzalez. That's his fourth.
An excellent changeup. After pitching inside with his fastball, he speeds him up. As you take a look at our Primera Supermo, and there it is, the circle changeup, down and away from him, out in front, 84 miles an hour. Well located.
Gonzalez is not a guy you really think of as a big strikeout pitcher. His best start of the season, the one we mentioned in San Francisco, when he pitched into the seventh, he had 2 strikeouts. That said, his strikeout numbers have been on the increase ever since then. Left on left, facing Reddick. Some news coming out of the National League. Former Mariners pitching coach Brian Price fired by Cincinnati after a very difficult start. Seager giving this a look. Now, BP's been there in Cincinnati for some really lean years, some rebuilding years. Terrific guy. Hopefully he finds a landing spot sometime soon.
I think he'll get a job quickly.
There goes Bregman. Seager trying to cover with the shift on. Bregman in safe.
Something we don't see very often anymore, the delayed steal. Take a look at it. He doesn't run right away. He waits and then he takes off. So it's basically a couple of shuffles and then he takes off to steal. And you can see Kyle, because of the defense that the Mariners had on Kyle, trying to take the throw.
Gordon camps out underneath this, and Bregman is left stranded at second. We go to the bottom of the second inning. Mariners and the Astros scoreless. Mariners will be running up against would be tough, Mike, but it has been awfully tough going back to Sunday against Sean Manaea on the A's.
Tough to find hits for the Mariners. You take a look at those totals. Yeah, it's been difficult. A couple of really good left-handers. Manaea has really started strong this year for the A's. We know about Keuchel, the Cy Young Award. McCullers in his curveball. Garrett Cole, all the strikeouts, and then you have Charlie Morton today, so it's been difficult.
Mariners able to scratch out a win against Keuchel. Morton with a couple of strikeouts in the first inning. Seager bunting his way, or trying to.
Bregman at the shortstop position right now, and for Kyle, look at that, and you would think that it's not a very good bunt attempt, but that's exactly what he wants to do. You want to bunt him firmly to make sure you get it past the pitcher, and then he can just walk to first base with a base hit. There you can see the defense.
Curveball misses. Seager, Haniger, Gamble due up here in the Mariners second. An appeal on the check swing does not go. I feel like this on the latest Wheelhouse podcast with Jerry DePoto. We had a fan email a question, and we take fan questions. And by we, I mean Jerry. And the question was very well researched. It was citing data from last year on batting averages when dropping down a bunt against the shift. And as you can imagine,
I'm curious.
The numbers, where it was a batting average of over 500.
Right.
Air quotes on batting average on bunts, but it is, you are getting aboard, it is a base hit.
Right.
And the fan question was very simple. Jerry, why don't more guys try to bunt against the shift? And he gave a very well thought through answer, citing a number of different things. One of which was simply the difficulty of bunting against a guy, let's say, like Charlie Morton,
with throws 98
and a vicious curveball.
Right.
And so I felt compelled, Mike, to share the story of you getting pinch bunt for it. Out to left field. Reddick doesn't have to move much. Round number one, which Jerry thought was hysterical.
Did he? Yeah.
I forget who came in to replace you again.
Rich Amaral.
And he ended up dropping down 2 foul.
Yeah.
After you bunted the first one foul.
Yes, you have it correct. so basically, it was Lou asking me. It was a game against the A's, and Eckersley was pitching, and it was late. I think Tino ended up getting a base hit or walked, and Lou asked me to bunt him along and asked me if I was able to, and I'm like, sure, I can get the bunt down. So,
sure.
Yeah, no problem.
Now, did you really feel that way?
Yeah, I thought
I felt confident about it.
Yeah, I thought I'd get the bunt down. And I thought I laid down a pretty good bunt, and on the carpet in the Kingdom, we take a look at Haniger. This may fall in for a base hit, and it will. Beats the defense. Mariners second base hit, but so on the carpet it rolls all the way down and it just goes foul as it gets to first base. I thought it was going to hit the corner of the bag. And as I'm going back to home plate to pick up my bat and try it again is when Richie's walking out of the dugout, and he ended up pinch bunting for me. He bunted 2 balls foul, and Richie wasn't happy. I was not happy, and Lou was really upset.
Now, to make it more difficult on Lou to scream at you two, did you sit at opposite ends of the dugout, or did you just make it easier on Lou to sit together so that he could wear both of you guys out at once?
Well, Richie had the worst of it because in the dugout in the Kingdom, that the bat rack and the helmet rack was right where Lou would sit. So Richie had to put his things away. By then, I was long gone.
so
Richie, yeah, Richie had the worst.
Now, do you get credit for the strikeout on that?
Yes, thank you very much.
Jerry asked that question. I thought I'd pass it along to you.
Thank you. Yep.
I'm just the conduit.
Yeah.
Ben Gamble, second game back from the oblique injury.
You know, it brings up an interesting point, though, and it's a conversation that I had with Kyle a couple of years ago, as we watched him trying to bunt for a base hit right there. And it's one of those things where he hits in the lineup, too, you have to consider that, and what is his job for the most part, and that is to hit in the middle of the lineup, hit the ball out of the ballpark, driving runs.
It's Marisnick in center field today for the Astros.
And I think Kyle recognized that at times there's an opportunity there, and typically it's what we saw here today. He's leading off the inning, so why not try to get something started with a base hit? But I think it's more difficult for those guys because at the end of the year and their value to the team is to drive the baseball and drive and run. So I think even though he could probably try that every time he walks up there, it's not necessarily what you want to see all the time. You have to pick your spots, basically.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because to kind of wrap up what Jerry said, that was part of it as well. And that, like, let's take, for example, the Mariners, as Vogelback steps in now, up to Arlington, Joey Gallo. If you put a shift on for Joey Gallo, if you were to drop down a bunt every time, you'd be given high fives on the dugout.
Right.
Much better than 450 feet later in a home run.
Yeah. And do you want Joey Gallo to give up the opportunity to hit 40 home runs again because he's dropping bunts down?
Haniger taken off, hit and run on. Mitch holding up at second base. Vogelback out at first. That ends the inning. A man is left. We go to the third. Mike, a lot to like about Marco Gonzalez over the first 2 innings.
Yeah, I think that a little bit worried after the first 2 hitters going to 3-2 counts. Ended up striking them both out. But I like the way he's mixing it up, and his fastball command has gotten much better since. So he's kind of settled in. And there it is again, starting another hitter off with the breaking ball. He missed with it, but anytime that you can do that and you show that to the hitter, the guys in the dugout are seeing that too. You give him something else to think about. And I just like the way he's mixing it up.
Catcher Max Stassi leads it off for the Houston Astros here in the 3rd. And so Stassi back in game 1 of the series.
The other part of it with Marco is it goes back to what you and I were talking about, and Jerry was talking to you about it. Scott Serb was talking to me about it. He misses with that fastball down. Looked like maybe hit the bottom of the strike zone, but didn't get the call to fight his way back. But using all of his pitches, and that's what you want to see from him.
Taking on 3-0, 3-1. Marisnick batting 9th on deck for the Astros.
That'll be one of the separators right there. 3-1. We saw him in the first inning challenging some guys, but he comes back with a changeup at 84 miles an hour to get the foul ball. And I think for him, when he starts to gain confidence in being able to do that, that's a real key in the separator between a major league pitcher and guys that are down in the minor leagues. And another good fastball after the changeup at the top of the strike zone. When you look at his strikeouts today, 3 of them now looking out of the 5. We'll take another look at it. Again, 3-1 change up at 84, and then he comes back with a 91-mile-an-hour fastball at the top of the strike zone.
That's now tied his season best with 5 strikeouts, and he's punched out 5 of the first 8 Astros hitters.
I was trying to remember, Aaron, and maybe you do, and I certainly should. When you look at Marco, but you mentioned his strikeouts. I thought he had a game last year where he had a number of strikeouts, but you're right. When you look at it overall last year, consistently, especially games that he got a little bit deeper in, you would see 5 or 6, something like that.
It's funny you bring that up because after he struck out 4 batters through 2 innings, I did have the thought I should look up his strikeout career log. And I did. So his career best is 9 strikeouts. That was way back in 2014 with the Cardinals. We're talking pre-Tommy John, earliest days of Marco Gonzalez. But you're right, last year in September, his 2nd highest total, he's now 1 away from. He struck out 6 against the Rangers over 5 innings. But that 9 strikeout game, more of an aberration for Marco, as we talked about, not a huge strikeout guy. The 0-2.
Well, again, one of the things for me is you go through and early on it's hard to tell, but I think you start looking at some numbers, and we talked about it. His first outing was very good against the Giants and struggled in the last 2, but when I look and you look at his fastball and his cutter, and they're hitting well over 300 on both of those pitches, you immediately ask why. And to me, you can talk about the counts that he's pitching in. So again, hitters counts where they're taking advantage of it, or maybe just not mixing it up enough early on to get them away from his fastball. Wow.
Marco Gonzalez strikes out his 6th batter, his first time through the order.
And you know, maybe it's one of those things too, because we're seeing his breaking ball and his changeup early, that his fastball command has been excellent after the first couple of hitters. Again, another fastball, 91 miles an hour, just off the inside corner, too close to take. But he ties Marisnick up. So if you can create some doubt in the hitter, really will serve you well, and that's exactly what's happened today with Marco.
Ball to Springer.
This is with a cut fastball at 88, but his misses are really close.
That was awfully close.
There's been a couple of those fastballs borderline bottom of the strike zone, clearly on the plate, that he has not been able to get the call on.
Two-0 to Springer. Makes it 2-1.
I mentioned it at the start of the game for Springer. He leads their club with 4 home runs. He has 4 home runs against left-handers, and he tried to hit that one out of the ballpark.
Yeah, 3 home runs against Colt Hamels, 1 against James Paxton. The home run log so far this year for Springer. Marco behind 3-1. Was able to strike out Springer, looking to begin the ball game. Now gets it full. The 3-2. Back to the glove of Freitas. It's another strikeout for Marco Gonzalez. He has fanned 7 Astros hitters through just the first 3 innings. Root Sports will be looking for the ultimate fan of the state of Oregon throughout the month of April. So send us a photo and story on our website at rootsports.com/ultimate-fan, and you can win a VIP trip for 2 to Seattle in September, a personalized jersey, and more. For official rules, just check out rootsports.com. Owen Freitas is 0-2.
David has played well. I mentioned that he had a base hit in last night's ball game. I think Aaron quietly hitting 280. He's really done a nice job behind the plate and swinging the bat. Splitting time with Mike Marginal.
When you think about it too, this is a young man in Freitas who was expected to be essentially the Rainier's opening day catcher. Has very limited big league experience last year with the Braves, and now here he is, not playing every day. You would think for a young guy not being able to really get into a groove at the plate, and then you mentioned the numbers that you just brought up, Mike. That makes it even more impressive.
Yeah, and I think it does. And the club obviously is going to have to make a decision on what they're going to do. Mike Zunino looks like he will be in Arlington. See which direction they go. Mike Marginal making the club out of camp.
Full count to Freitas. Gordon waiting on deck. Morton, the number 5 starter for the Astros in the final year of a 2-year deal with Houston. I think for a lot of people, when A.J. Hinch and the Astros acquired Charlie Morton for a pretty good chunk of change for those 2 years, coming off a season where Charlie barely pitched, had a massive hamstring injury. Really couldn't even get on the mound at all for the Phillies. As he strikes out Freitas looking at 96. Now the Force Awakens at Safeco Field on Friday, May the 4th, with Star Wars Night as a tip of the cap to Han Solo. Hal Seeger is featured in this fantastic bobblehead, none other than Han Solo. The first 20,000 fans receive this special Star Wars inspired collectible. Tickets at mariners.com. Well, they're ready. But you go back to that year before Charlie Morton came to the Astros, and he was hardly on the mound because of the injury. Before that, in Pittsburgh in 2015, you're looking at a guy who threw almost exclusively 2-seamers that averaged about 92, 93 miles an hour. Now healthy, comes over to Houston, is pumping 96 to 98, and a curve like we've seen plenty of times already today. Another one.
Sounds similar to what you were talking about with Garrett Cole last night. Also with Pittsburgh.
The only thing that makes those two guys a little bit different is that we knew Cole had the velocity, right? We saw the upper end velocity from Cole. It was not there for Charlie Morton before coming to Houston, as we see 98 flash up on the screen. Gordon a couple of strikeouts.
Gene was trying to be the difference in the game last night. 1-1 ball game, and in the 5th inning, hit a fly ball out to left. It looked like it was going to be a home run, and actually looked like it was a home run. Fisher, the left fielder, ended up making the catch, and taking the home run away to keep the game tied.
Hard hit grounder to Bregman. And Charlie Morton faces the minimum for the first time today. We go to the 4th, scoreless.
Springer swings at this fastball down in the zone, trying to pitch him inside, misses again. So 3-1. He comes back 86, takes some off the cutter, foul ball, and then on a 3-2 count comes back with a 77-mile-an-hour curveball that ends up in the middle of the plate. You can see Springer frustrated by it, and that's what we've been talking about, Aaron, using all of his pitches, really mixing it up, not giving in to the hitter, and causing problems. And you know, one of the things that you and I have talked about, and we were talking about it last night, is when you have a pitcher out on the mound and a hitter is out, and however it happens, he ends up going back to the dugout and everybody talks about it. Well, that's what's happening right now for Marco. Those Houston hitters are going back to the dugout talking about his cut fastball, his changeup, how he's using his curveball, and that, I think, is helping him to where they're not on his fastball all the time. We talked about it earlier. The averages against his fastball, it's a bit high, so you can look at the counts in which he's throwing it and the location of it, and I think that he can help out his location by mixing it up with the rest of his pitches, and we're seeing that. I think that one of the best at it is something we saw last night in Mike Leake, just really mixing things up. That's another good cut fastball in on his hands. But that's what Mike does. He's a master at it, and his location typically is really good, but a veteran guy that knows how to use all of his pitches and keep hitters off balance, and that's the process that Marco's going through. And right now, it's a really good game plan that he is executing, obviously, with all the strikeouts.
Marco's 2-1. Well, it must be harder than it sounds, Mike, because I bet, as you can see, another close miss there. I mean, a lot of people probably would think, well, you have 3 or 4 pitches, just vary it up, right? You got a catcher helping you out too, but it's obviously harder than what it sounds like. And you have a
scouting report that you've gone through. Yeah, but it's still on a given day, and obviously he feels pretty good today. And here's a walk, first walk of the ball game for him, and only the 3rd walk on the season. But you have days when maybe one pitch is working better than the other. Maybe you just don't have the command. You don't have the ability to throw that pitch over for whatever reason. So it can vary because of that. But I think one of the other things that you find out early in the ballgame by using all your pitches is where you are at and what is working. And for some guys, they have one particular pitch that they're going to have to get through an outing, and they'll continue to throw it even though it may not be good in the 1st or 2nd inning, hoping to find it.
Off of Correa's knee.
Yeah, that hit on the inside of his kneecap, and that is going to hurt. And it appears that's what happened to him. Another cutter. There's a look at it. Primera Supremo as he swings and fouls this off of his kneecap. Yep. It's going to take him a little while to walk that one off. Aaron, you gave me a look after seeing the replay.
The look was, I've never had that much pain in my life, is what that look was.
Let's see if we have a hammer somewhere. In between innings, I'll help you out. Just so you can relate to it.
I don't think I need to experience that to know what it's like.
You're probably right.
Goodness.
Yeah, it's painful, and I've seen guys actually injure themselves. You always see them off the shin, the ankle, the foot, but when you hit it on the inside of that kneecap, it will move it around, and obviously nothing to protect it.
Well, at least Correa doesn't play a position where quick instincts and first jumps and reaction time are very important.
Something like shortstop.
And he's played a great series defensively. No surprise.
One of the stars in this game, young star. The leadoff walked Altuve. Marco now beyond just executing pitches. He'll have to keep an eye on Altuve at first base.
And he does. Altuve 2nd in the league in stolen bases last season. 1-1. Right back off of Gonzalez. Looked like he was able to deflect it with his glove. Goodness.
That would be an infield hit, and we've talked about Gonzalez and what a good athlete he is, and this is dangerous. Right back at him. He's able to get his glove up just in time. It looked like it was going right towards his cap. He knocks it down. Only the second hit for Houston, but he's in some trouble here as you take another look at it, protecting himself.
Here is Gaddis. Altuve at second, Correa at first. There's Marco with 7 strikeouts over the first 3 innings.
I'd like to get a double play ball if he can.
Check swing. Seager on the bag at third. Over to Robbie. You were saying, Mike.
That'll work. And then Gaddis runs off the field. He forgot how many outs there were. Thought there might be a chance for a triple play, and it will be. Well, in the inning, Gaddis, he lost track of the outs. He just ran off the field. Tagged him out. Triple play. You can see it's 2-hopper to Kyle. Not hit firmly enough, so Cano decides not to throw it on the double play. And then you can see everybody just kind of walking in. Gaddis running with his head down. Doesn't realize how many outs there are. And all of a sudden, Kyle Seager is the one that screamed out, hey, he's off the base. Tag him. And that's when Cano throws it over to Daniel Vogelback for the 3rd out. So a triple play, a unique one.
I would say so. Second pitch to Robbie. Watch out again.
That's bad luck. He hit the pitcher in the back and went straight up in the air for the out. Well, never touched the ground. So a couple of line drives at the pitcher. One to Gonzalez and now one here to Morton. We'll take another look at it. Looks like he hits him in the back. Off his elbow. Yeah, off his elbow in the air right to Correa, the shortstop. Going to have him just throw a couple of pitches to make sure he's okay. And another look at it.
You know, off the back is one thing, off the moneymaker is another.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I'll go back to the triple play here, Mike.
And we'll take a look at it. Kyle paying attention looks, and he's the one that points it out, with Gaddis just running basically towards the middle of the infield.
You know, Mike, we talked the other night about the idea of being a pinch runner and being picked off at first base.
Yes, there it is.
This seems worse.
I think that you're probably right.
First pitch, Nelly. Curveball misses for ball 1. Back to Gaddis in the reaction.
Again, he just lost track of how many outs were. He thought that ended the inning. And I'm surprised. It must have been. He must have had his eyes down the entire time, because typically you see a ground ball at the shortstop. Typically, when you don't see the infielders moving and running off the field, you would think that something is up, even if you lost track of the outs. But obviously, he was looking at the ground and didn't have a chance to get back to the base.
Well, the great thing of the reaction was when the head went back when he thought he grounded into an inning-ending double play.
Right.
But that disappointment was nothing compared to what was just about to happen. Two outs for Kyle Seager. First pitch curve. You know, Mike, we had Jack in the booth the other day.
Yes.
And here's our son Jackson, who is very excited right now because Kyle Seager is his favorite player, which I know is not too different from.
He was yelling out triple play, triple play.
You know, each night when I get home, and I normally wake Jackson up if he allows it, if he's not snoozing through it, and,
right.
and we talk a little bit about the game and his day, and he normally is able to watch the first inning or two before bedtime. And one night when he saw Seager strike out before bedtime, he said, "Oh, but Dad, Kyle missed 3 times." Said, you know, sometimes we all miss 3 times. Seager strikes out to end the inning. Hopefully Jackson won't cry. That will end 4 here from Safeco Field. A beautiful day for baseball. We're scoreless. Discounted tickets are available for groups of 20 or more. Flexible seating options, private hospitality, and picnic packages are all available to complete your group's day at the ballpark. For more information to book your 2018 group date, just check out mariners.com/groups. Alex Bregman leads it off for the Astros and stares at a strike.
Bregman with one of the 2 hits for Houston so far.
First triple play since 2015 against the Blue Jays. Seager right under his glove. Tricky play. Bregman hustling into second base.
It's to the backhand side. I think on this one, Kyle wasn't sure if he was going to catch it in the air or have to get the short hop, and it goes right underneath his glove. So kind of in between both of them. That'll be a double. Back-to-back innings that Houston's had the leadoff hitter on.
And steps Marwin Gonzalez. Gonzalez on the first pitch ropes it foul. We'll take a look at our CenturyLink What's Next tomorrow. In Arlington, the King up on the mound. We begin our broadcast at 4:30. A new face for the Rangers this year, Mike Minor, gets the ball for Jeff Bannister and the Rangers. Game 1 of 3 and day 1 of a 10-day road trip. They have changed that to an error on Seager at third base. Line drive off Seager's glove. Bregman into third base, gets the stop sign. Hit Marwin Gonzalez.
Kyle playing even with the bags. You take a look at this, barreled up, solid line drive, jumping in the air, goes right off the top of his glove. Well, Stottlemyre out of the dugout, going to make a trip out to the mound.
Talk with Marco Gonzalez.
Next pitch will be 70. 69 pitches, 44 strikes. He's faced 15 batters, 9 first pitch strikes. Dan Altavella getting loose out in the pen.
I'll make your voice heard. Nominate your favorite plays of the week by tweeting us using the hashtag #RootFanFave. Watch the Mariners pregame show every Sunday to find out your fan favorite plays of the week. Plus, each month, one lucky fan will win a Coors Light Yeti cooler just for participating. Official rules at rootsports.com. Well, last time we saw a situation like this, we then saw a triple play. First 2 men aboard. Now Bregman at third base, Gonzalez at first, and Reddick trying to drop a bunt. 1 to Reddick. Shallow center. Segura drops. Bregman scores. They get Gonzalez at second. And then Reddick has made it a 1-0 ball game.
And we'll take a look at it. Segura trying to make the over-the-shoulder catch. Not able to do it. They do get the force out at second.
One out, one on a run in here to Stassi. Broken bat and a foul ball. Move to first base, not in time. The 1-1.
Good pitch, good fastball at 91 on the corner. Strange, unfortunate inning for Marco Gonzalez. Continues to throw the baseball well. So bad breaks for him. Give up the 1 run.
Inside. Stassi struck out looking back in the 3rd. Astros have taken the lead here in the 5th. The 2-2. Segura can't get there. And at center, Reddick making the turn. D. Gordon's throw goes to the middle of the infield. Runners down the corners. Well, you get the ground ball you want, just a little off target.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a perfect ground ball to turn a double play. Unfortunately, it finds a hole right back up the middle. They were playing him to pull the ball because they've been pitching him inside. Segura not able to get to it. First four hitters rather have reached here in the 5th. 1 out, runners in the corners for Marisnik. Dropping a bunt. Did it hit him? Inside the box. Steve Freitas was all over that. Well, Scott has a question about it. We'll take another look at it. When we're sitting, it's hard to tell where Marisnik is actually at. And yeah, it hit him when he was still in the batter's box. Another look at it. He's clearly in the box when he's trying to bunt the ball.
The 0-1. Trying again, 0-2. Now Marisnik has been striking out in bunches this year. Now he's got an 0-2 count.
Yeah, he's really struggled, just hitting 130. It's rare that you see this type of play. Maybe try it one time, but certainly not twice.
25 strikeouts and 46 at bats for Marisnik this year, including today. The 0-2. Another punch out for Marco Gonzalez. 8 strikeouts for Marco, and we're only in the 5th.
And here's a look at it. Right on the inside corner. Looked like another cut fastball. Got service out of the dugout. 80 pitches for Marco, and he's going to make a pitching change.
We'll step aside here at the top of the 5th. 2 outs, runners on the corners. Astros by a run. Insurance, find a local agent at safeco.com. Do more. Now the sun is out. It's a gorgeous day here in Seattle. As we have our first Beacon Plumbing call to the pen. Dan Altavilla on to work for the Mariners.
And for Dan, a fastball in the mid to upper 90s with a slider. This will be his 9th appearance on the year. 11 strikeouts in the 8 innings that he has worked. Opponents hitting just 185. Going to face the leadoff hitter George Springer. Springer 1 for 9 in his career against Dan.
A run in this inning for the Astros on the RBI fielder's choice by Reddick. Late cut. The 0-1.
He starts him with a couple of sliders, and Not a surprise when you look at Springer. Springer is going to be aggressive on the fastball early in counts. Switch things up going to the breaking ball. For Marco Gonzalez, 4 2/3, 5 hits. See just the 1 walk, 8 strikeouts for him, 78 pitches overall. 52 strikes out of the 78. First pitch strikes, 18 batters, 11 first pitch strikes for him.
The 8 strikeouts for Gonzalez, 1 off of a career high. Now the 2-1. Last 2 pitches missing up. Bases are loaded.
Stayed with the slider.
Reddick stays put over at third base. Stassi into second now. Tough task here. Jose Altuve digs in. Walking a strikeout today. Looking at strike 1. Out to right center. Haniger having to cover some ground over his head. Reddick into score. Stassi crosses home plate. Springer on his way across the dish as well. And Jose Altuve, just his 3rd extra base hit of the season, clears him off. And it's now 4-0 Houston.
And we'll take a look at it. Up, out over the plate, 89 miles an hour. You can see him fighting so that he doesn't roll over on it, and it's just out of the reach of Mitch Haniger in right field, who was playing shallow.
Now, certainly last night, it was the story of the big inning for the Astros. And they put 4 across here in the 5th. Correa taking strike 1. For Altuve, it's just been a matter of time as to when he really starts getting on base. Now, the average, we say that he's batting .320 entering today, but only 2 extra base hits entering this game.
Yeah, he hadn't hit a home run, only 4 RBIs coming into the game. Pretty good fastball, top of the strike zone, 95 miles an hour. Tie up Correa.
Back on the check swing, 1-2. Altavilla's 2-2 to Correa. Gets him swinging, chasing that slider, and it ends the inning. Altuve stranded, but he clears the bases, and it's a 4-run inning for the Astros. Chance to hear from Scott Service. Talked a little bit about that triple play the Mariners heard earlier today. Mariners will have to come from behind to this one now. A 4-run 5th inning for the Astros. Haniger a bloop single his last time up. Leaves off the bottom of the 5th.
Yeah, that's one of the 2 hits for the Mariners today. Charlie Morton has had good stuff. Talked about his fastball. Been 95 to 98 with the good curve. Interesting to watch as this moves on. One of the things to keep in mind is Robinson Cano hit a line drive back at Morton to hit him in the elbow. So we'll see how long he can go. Right now his pitch count is in great shape. If that elbow starts to swell up at all, I'm sure they'll take him out of the game.
Haniger swinging through 97. Here comes Ben Gamble. Give you an idea how good Charlie Morton has been so far this year. He went into his 3rd start against the Rangers, having not allowed an earned run on the season through his first 2 outings. Ended up giving up 2 earned runs against Texas. Had he not, he would have tied Nolan Ryan for a starting pitcher in franchise history to not give up an earned run over the first 3 starts. Reddick in left field, finding the sun a little bit, and he makes the catch for out number 2. Enjoy more Mariners baseball for less. New this year are 25 BECU value games on select Sundays, weeknights, and holidays. Save big with select bleacher and view seats for only $15 in Maine, or club seats for only $30. Visit mariners.com/value. Vogelback. Shift on for Daniel. The opposite way and drifting foul.
And Morton still throwing hard. 98 miles an hour on that fastball.
I've been talking about that road trip coming up for the Mariners to Arlington and then on to Chicago and Cleveland. Houston will be going to Chicago after this one. The 3-1. Towards the shift, Correa keeps his feet to end the inning. Charlie Morton has faced the minimum now for the 3rd straight inning. Angels will be in town. The sights, the sounds of the decade, plus the first 10,000 fans receive this one-of-a-kind James Paxton Fanny Pack. Tickets can be had at Mariners.com. Evan Gattis leads it off in the 6th for the Astros. Houston with a 4-run 5th inning. Only runs the game so far. Altavilla back out on the mound for the Mariners. Pours over strike 1. Line foul. And Altavilla ahead 0-2.
Mark Zepchenski getting loose out in the pen. There's Mark. After Gattis, you have Bregman, another right-handed hitter. Then the switch hitter, Gonzalez, the lefty. Reddick, the only left-handed hitter in the lineup is Reddick today, hitting 7th. Follow Gonzalez.
Inside. comes another 1-2. And stays alive. Slider not missing much at all.
Good slider just off the outside corner.
See what he goes with here. Off the hands. Fastball that time. Mike, if we get a foul ball in the booth, you will protect me.
Hopefully Jackson has. Let me borrow his glove real quick, and then there's a chance. But outside of that, no, you're on your own.
Well, that's very disappointing.
Have you ever been hit by a foul ball?
In this setting, or any time in my entire life?
Let's go with any time in your life.
I have never been hit by a foul ball.
Trust me, don't try to catch it.
Now, I say that. I have had a foul ball come to me. The catch was attempted and failed. I wouldn't call that being hit.
That can happen. I mean, I'm not worried about that.
Leadoff walk to Gaddis. How about go down to the Ford Sports desk? Angie, have you ever been hit by a foul ball?
I have not. I have a funny story. One time I brought my glove because the kids are there, and if you get, a smoking line drive before they brought the net down, it can be dangerous. But literally, the foul ball came and I called it like I was in the outfield. I was like, ball, 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 cleared everybody and caught it, but didn't get hit by it, but I did catch it. All right, that's my foul ball story, guys. That's all I got. But no, I've never been smoked, but I wouldn't try to catch it with my bare hands either. No chance.
So sorry that I led you off script there, Angie. Sounds like you had important business to get to, but there'll be time later.
No surprise that she was able to catch the foul ball, though.
I want to be in Angie's section. Gaddis aboard after the walk. 1-1 to Bregman. Rick caught a foul ball in the radio booth a couple of years ago. Norioki right to him. It happened, Mike.
Was there a bobble?
No,
clean
I gotta
catch.
give it to Rico. I mean, this
Clean
is before
catch.
he, blew out his bicep, of course.
Oh, Ricky. You mentioned it earlier. If you missed it, Rick's going to have surgery to repair his bicep on Friday tomorrow.
I mean, do you need to?
No.
Inside.
I'm sure you've noticed this, though, as you travel around in all the different broadcast booths, including these two here that are terrific, the TV and radio side of things. But some of the holes that are in the sheetrock behind you.
Yes. Now flex, Rico. Come on. Let's see the flex. We're going to miss Rick on the trip. Chance for two. And Bregman out at first base. Wants away that leadoff walk. Okay, Angie. Ford Sports desk. I'm going to stay out of your way.
Nice catch, though.
Well, they called Dave Valley the mayor of Safeco Field because it doesn't matter if it's right before the show's about to begin. He's going to take the time to take a photo with you. He's such a good guy. And Brian checks in with this photo, and he snapped with Dave Valley. The hashtag news is Where I Root, presented by Alaska Airlines. Claire, in this family, baseball season means outfit changes between family photos in this house. So the baby with the Astros gear on with mom and the Mariner gear on with dad. A divided family. Guys, back to you.
Well, it sounds like it. Thank you, Angie. 2 outs, nobody on. Gonzalez right by the bag at first base. Vogelback handles it cleanly. Altavilla faces the minimum at the top of the 6th. Mariners trail. 4-0. When you purchase single game tickets at Mariners team stores, you'll receive 10% off all regular price merchandise that same day. Visit one of the 5 Mariners team store locations to secure both your tickets and your savings on Mariners gear. Ball one to Freitas. 9-1-2 due up for the Mariners here in the 6th.
Charlie Morton, 95-98, good curveball. In great shape with his pitch count. 61 pitches, 41 strikes for him.
2-2 on the Mariners catcher.
Oh, Aaron, in between innings, I went over to the radio booth to let Rick know why he was on TV because he obviously couldn't hear us. And he wanted me to tell you that, yes, he needs 2 biceps. So he's going to get his surgery tomorrow.
Well, I suppose for the long term, that's the wise move. Now, for those who have listened to Rick their entire lives, they know firsthand,
and there are many,
how much this team and this game means to Rick. And as you can imagine, he's pretty distraught by the fact he's going to miss a free city trip to the Mariners. Flattens out for Bregman. He's at number 1.
As you mentioned at the start, 44 years without missing, and you're right, he was not happy to get the news yesterday. Actually, he ended up getting the news that he was going to have to get his surgery. No choice in the matter to repair that bicep, so he was not happy about it, but it's for the best. He's going to finally miss a road trip.
Tell him I wanted him to flex. Gary Hill, Ryan Rollins-Smith. We're so close and yet so divided.
Yeah, Ryan going on the trip with us to help us out. The absence of Rick, and of course Dave going in to get his surgery today on his Achilles.
So, you know, Gary and I are the lone 2 play-by-play men remaining, and
congratulations, by the way, on surviving that basketball game.
I feel great. The thorough stretching before and after. Now, we talked to Kevin Martinez before the game today, and he has found room in the budget for separate chartered flights for Gary and myself.
I think that's a good move with the way things are going.
And this is in the contract anyway, but separate town cars. One and 2 on D. Gordon. Rick has said that I can have his dessert on the flight to Dallas, which I also feel great about. Very nice of him.
I'm going to have to verify that.
Tough day for D. Gordon. We do not see this very often, if ever. 3 strikeouts. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Seattle Mariners and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. The accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Seattle Mariners. Segura on the first pitch. Bregman from his heels. What a play. My goodness. Morton faces the minimum for the 4th consecutive inning. Astros leading 4-0 as we open up the top of the 7th. Up on the hill for the Mariners now, Mark Sipchinski.
Sinking fastball at 92 miles an hour and a slider to go with it.
It's over for Dan Altavilla.
5 appearances on the year. Just a couple of innings for him.
Face the bottom third of the order. Here's Josh Reddick. Looking at a first pitch strike. Wade LeBlanc getting loose inside the Mariners bullpen as we speak.
That's a slider from Mark Sipchinski. Fouled off, and I think it ended up hitting the bare hand of David Freitas. Stung him a little bit as you take a look at Wade LeBlanc getting loose.
Last night for the Astros, it was a 6-run 7th, and today for the Astros, a 4-run 5th. As they shift for Reddick. Vogelback at first base. Run down. This MLB season, get the baseball game that will have you wanting to play it again. RBI Baseball 18 delivers all new franchise mode and much more. RBI Baseball 18 is available now for Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 4, iOS, and Android. Learn more at rbigame.com. One out for Max Stassi, the number 8 hitting catcher for the Astros. On the first pitch, out to Haniger. Over Haniger's head and just over the fence for a home run. Opposite field shot by Stassi off the bat. I did not think that'd be getting over the wall.
It was going to be aggressive. First pitch fastball outside corner above the knees. You take a look at it. Line drive that just clears the wall and right.
Resnick on the first pitch fouls it off. You know, today we saw Marco Gonzalez get to start his 4th of the year for the Mariners. The man that was in that trade to get Marco here to Seattle, Tyler O'Neill, made his major league debut today for the St. Louis Cardinals. So congratulations to Tyler. We got to know him a little bit during his time in the upper minors with the Mariners. D. Gordon in center field. Now number 2. Back to Stassi's homer.
Yeah, fastball away from him. This is a line drive.
Tyler, by the way, a pinch hit appearance for the Cardinals against the Cubs. Did not pick up a hit. Oh, plenty more opportunities you have to think coming up shortly. Two outs, nobody on for George Springer. And many who have seen Tyler know that he's essentially Mr. Olympia.
Yes, he is.
And when he came out for FanFest a couple of years ago, Mike, when he was in Double-A, had a fairly tight-fitting shirt on, which I'll be honest, I do the exact same thing if I was Tyler. And we had him on for an interview, and he's got a really deep voice. And we get done with the interview, and I said, Tyler, great pipes, man. And he starts flexing his bicep and goes, thank you. Appreciate that. And I'm like, no. Those are good too. Don't want to discredit that. Our line of work, pipes mostly refers to the voice.
You mentioned that trade and Marco Gonzalez. Kind of a strange day for Marco. Probably a day where he had his best stuff. The 8 strikeouts, just the 1 walk. Gives up 3 runs, but none of them are earned. Just a tough break for him on a day that he really was throwing the ball well.
And that 5th inning, his final inning, we saw the ball that was smoked to Seager off of his glove, the ball that just got under his glove.
Yeah.
Some tough plays.
Shallow fly ball that dropped.
Right.
That ended up being a force out at second.
Seager charges. And Springer is out number 3. The home run by Stassi has extended the Astros lead. Time to stretch. As we take a look at Built for Baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile. Gaddis at the plate, Mike, in a triple play like you maybe haven't seen before.
A little bit strange. You get the double play, no problem there, but then it was Gaddis who apparently didn't realize how many outs there were and ends up running towards the middle of the diamond, think the inning was over. Well, it is now, as Daniel Vogelback will put the tag on him. So triple play for the Mariners.
Cano, Cruz, and Seager due up for the Mariners. Now, Cano's now reached base in 16 of 17 games this year. And Mike, apparently taking a line drive off the pitching elbow is not as devastating as we might have thought it would be for Charlie Morton.
Well, again, he has been efficient. And since the line drive, he still is throwing 98 miles an hour with the curveball. And it hasn't bothered his command at all, throwing a lot of strikes. It was Robbie that hit the line drive off of his elbow.
Swings through a curve. Back to that comebacker off the elbow.
Thought originally it hit him on the back, but you can see him lift his arm and it hits him on that right elbow.
One out for Nelly. Back 97.
And everything away from Nelson. Borderline pitches off the outside corner. And he's seen a little bit of everything in this at bat. There's a location on the EQC tracer.
The 2-2. Line to left. Reddick having to get over there quickly. Can't get there in time. Cruz aboard a 1-out single. Get home field advantage on Silver Bullet Saturdays. Download the Coors Light XP Rewards app and start earning points towards rewards like Mariners tickets and Coors Light beer while supplies last. Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. The Mariners would like to try to get Charlie Morton's ERA above 1. That's where it came into today. It's now at .74 after going 6 1/3 scoreless to this point. In fact, if you go just by ERA, the Astros have 3 of the top 4 on the American League leaderboard. Shift on for Seager. Gonzalez down to second. Correa to first base. Takes him off the bag. Not in time. Seager is aboard, a fielder's choice. 2 outs now.
Kyle hits it hard right to the first baseman Gonzalez. Talked about Gonzalez at the start of the game. Played third base. Also seen him in left field. Tries to get the double play start. Ends up just getting the lead runner as Kyle beats it out.
It has been tough cooking offensively for the Mariners ever since Sunday. We have well documented the opposing starting pitchers. Mariners getting 2 runs in that series opening win against the Astros. You look at a run on Sunday against Oakland, 2 runs on Monday in game 1, and then held to 1 run each of the last 2 games against the Astros. Garrett Cole last night, McCullers the night before. Ground ball finds Altuve for out number 3. We've played 7. Astros have the lead. Our Columbia Bank difference of the game. Jose Altuve, Mike, clearing the bases off.
Yeah, it looks like a slider that is out over the plate. Haniger was playing shallow in right field, and he hits a line drive. You can see short hops the fence and clears the bases to drive in 3.
He will lead things off in this Astros 8th inning. Meanwhile, new pitcher up on the mound for the Mariners, Wade LeBlanc.
For Wade, he will throw everything at you: fastball, slider, curveball, changeup, and a cutter. It's just his 3rd appearance on the year. A couple of strikeouts and 1 walk for him. 5 innings that he has worked.
I know the Mariners are very aggressive when it comes to shifting. One thing I'm excited to see, Mike, and I'm not assuming it will happen. In fact, I'll be surprised if it happens, but Jerry Dipoto has said that he has thought of the idea of a 4-man outfield for certain hitters, and we know that the Astros have done that to Joey Gallo already this year. We'll be seeing Joey beginning tomorrow night, 3-game series in Arlington. Altuve into center field. On base for the 3rd time. Back to the Ford Sports Desk, Angie.
Guys, there is a joke that there are 2 types of people in this world: those who love bacon and those who lie about not loving bacon. And if you love bacon, or if you lie about it, On Deck Donuts is the place for you. It is right around section 132, and you've got your choice of toppings, dipping sauces, including maple syrup and bacon, caramel sauce, powdered sugar, frosting, just about anything you'd want to put on a donut, they've got for you, and it's absolutely fantastic. So that's one of the new things at Safeco Field. So the next time you're here, make sure you check it out. And it's right by Din Tai Fung, so I know, Aaron, you'll be able to find it really easily. I
got to be honest, I was really under the impression that those donuts would be waiting for us today when we got in here for a day game. Mike, make a call, please. I need some pull around here. Altuve aboard. So right at the plate.
I can tell that you are really excited about the 4-man outfield. Why is that?
Well, Mike, what I'm curious about is who the 4th man would be, right? When the Astros did it, they moved Bregman from 3rd base into, can we call it left field, the furthest left fielder? What would you do?
I probably would go with Kyle. I think if you put Kyle out in left field, he would be just fine.
Because you're not having to run very far, right?
Well, that's why you have the extra outfielder.
So range is kind of taken out of the equation. I think you're looking for someone the most sure-handed that you put out there. Does it come down to that?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that it would come down to on who you're going to place out there. As far as your infielders go, I guess it would also depend on you have your 4-man outfield, but what is your infield alignment going to look like with that 4-man outfield? Yeah, so I think you have to consider a number of things.
Bregman, by the way, did catch a fly ball when he was out there in left field. The ball will find the new guy. 3-1 now on Carlos Correa after the leadoff single by Altuve. First 2-man reach. Altuve into second after the walk. Here's Gaddis. Now, A.J. Hinch has talked about what that can do mentally to a hitter, a 4-man outfield. When you think about it, the shifts, I think, Mike, that most hitters have kind of become numb to the shift.
They're used to it now. It's probably the same thing as when they first started doing the shift as often as they were. If you were consistent with a particular hitter in a series, then they probably thought about it quite a bit, but I doubt that they do now. He's got to hit this right inside the bag. And Cost the Mariners a run.
Altuve scores easily. Gaddis slides in. They got him. First out of the inning, but not after a run scored. 6-0 Houston.
And a strong throw from Haniger in right field. We'll take a look at it. Strong throw in the air. An easy play for Segura at second base. This will pick up an RBI and a base hit. The Mariners have their infield in. Bregman checked his swing, but it'll be a foul ball.
One out, Correa at third. Freitas a throw, but Seager off the bag. Two balls and a strike on Bregman. Back, Cano, foul ground, and the ball is dropped.
Take a look at, there'll be a bobble. I think on the bobble is maybe when Daniel ended up seeing Robbie tried to make the barehanded catch off the heel of his glove.
No error on the play. You know, looking over to Correa at third base, Mike had a chance the other day to talk to both Carlos and Edwin Diaz about the series in Puerto Rico between the Indians and the Twins. And Carlos and Edwin, very good friends. They essentially grew up together. They played with each other. They played against each other all the way through high school. Of course, Correa, the #1 overall pick in the draft a number of years ago. And they were both thrilled beyond belief that there was Major League Baseball being played in Puerto Rico. LeBlanc with a strikeout. Bregman is at number 2.
And Barrios from Minnesota pitched well. Lindor also hit a home run. I thought it interesting that because of a lot of the issues that they've had over there, they ended up losing power, but they had the generators there so that they could still have the game. And what was the game last night? It was
15 or 16. I think you're right about 16.
Over 5 hours. So good experience.
Commissioner Manfred was there. There's Marwin Gonzalez with 2 outs. Correa at third base. I asked Edwin to try to describe how big baseball is in Puerto Rico, and he was saying it's by far and away the most popular sport. And I said, what's the second most popular sport in Puerto Rico? And without hesitation, he said boxing. And I looked at him and go, you do a little boxing? No. You look at Francisco Lindor, Javi Baez. The difference between those two and Correa, Barrios, as you mentioned, and Edwin Diaz. The previous two moved away from Puerto Rico in high school. They went to Florida, played high school baseball there. Still have family back there. And for Carlos Correa and Edwin Diaz, all the way through high school. We've seen Lindor at the end of the road trip in Cleveland. And you know, for a guy like Carlos Correa, you look at the quality of pitching in Puerto Rico, not nearly the same, not nearly as good that he would be facing as guys who would leave and go to Florida and be against better competition.
Right.
You can understand why guys would want to get off the island to kind of just increase their profile. But Correa staying there the whole time, and boy, did that ever work out.
Which to me is amazing how quickly he was able to make those adjustments and those jumps to get to the big leagues as quickly as he has. Tremendous talent.
Which gets back to the age-old point, Mike. I don't know how scouts do it. You go to Puerto Rico, you watch 140-pound Carlos Correa, and you say, yep, that's the #1 pick in the draft, and he's going to be a future Rookie of the Year and a future All-Star, and we can build a franchise around this guy.
And he'll be there in a year or two. I don't know
how you look at that and you can know is incredible.
I think sometimes you can, obviously you look at a pitcher, and if he's throwing 95, everybody can see that, so that makes it a little bit easier. But position players are much tougher, I think. There are certain things, especially for him being a shortstop, and you watch him swing and you can see the ball jump off his bat. It's just different. Field his position, run and throw, all those things you can measure. But now when you're looking at somebody when they're 15, 16 years old and trying to project what they're going to be, can be difficult at times. I think there's some that are pretty easy. You know,
I mean, Harper was pretty easy.
Ken Griffey Jr. You watch him, you know.
Sure.
That's right in your face, telling you that, you know, these guys are going to make it. But a lot of others that have and have been great players, and it's hard to tell sometimes, especially when they're that young.
Strike 3 called. A run scores for the Astros. Correa stranded. We go to the bottom of the 8th. Matt Turner from the Seattle Seawolves tossed out the first pitch. Seawolves are our new rugby team in town. They open up their season this weekend in Major League Rugby. You can catch the first match Sunday at 5 right here on Root Sports when they face off against the team from San Diego. Starfire Field in Tukwila, where they'll be playing. Home game, home match. What do we think? Just a game?
I think a game.
A match? You think game?
I'm not sure.
We'll find out soon enough. Tony Sipp. It's about time, Mike. Activated off the disabled list. We see Tony. Seems like almost every night the Mariners play the Astros.
It seems like it. Just his third appearance on the year. Just 2 1/3. couple of strikeouts, 2 walks.
We'll be facing a pinch hitter, Guillermo Heredia, digging in for Ben Gamble.
Or Tony, fastball slider. His fastball at 91. Romine on deck. And for Vogelback.
Stassi up by the screen, out of play. Now, before Sip was activated from the disabled list, the Astros were without a lefty in their bullpen. Bounces in to make it 2-1. Now, we were expecting a tough day against Charlie Morton, and he was fantastic, Mike.
Yeah, he really was. You look at the number, 7 innings, just 3 hits. Didn't walk anybody, 8 strikeouts, 86 pitches. Overall, 59 of those for strikes, and lowered his ERA from a 1 to a 0.72.
Some pocket change there for Charlie Morton.
He was really good today. His fastball was 95 to 98 with the great curveball.
I know we use the cliche a number of times throughout the season that hitting is contagious. Do you think it's fair to say pitching is contagious in that regard, or is every game so isolated?
No, I think that you can gain momentum as a pitching staff as far as a rotation goes, and I think that sometimes you can get some healthy competition trying to stay in there with the rest of them. But you know, in this case, and we talked about it, of course, with Houston, everybody's aware of how good their ball club is, but the depth of their rotation is their strength. We talk about it with Seattle, and the depth of their lineup all the time. For them, it's their pitching staff.
I guess it's easy to say that it's contagious when you have essentially 4 all-stars in your rotation.
A couple of guys with a Cy Young award. Probably helps.
Here's Romine. Batting for Vogelback. Sips 0-2. Altuve, Springer, there to make the catch for run number 1. Back to the Ford Sports Desk. Angie, what's happening?
Aaron, is there a more beautiful place than the Pacific Northwest when the sun is out and the sky is blue? Well, this fan may rival that just a little bit. It checks in from the DR where Robbie and Nelson are from. Of course, use the hashtag Where I Root presented by Alaska Airlines. We'll try to get your photo on. And John sends this one in, me and the kid. If you're going to head to the Hall of Fame, go ahead and wear your Griffey Jr. Jersey when you're there. And Carrie, road trip from Southern Oregon, here to watch the Mariners today. Travel safe back, Carrie. Thanks for the photo. And again, hashtag Where I Root presented by Alaska Airlines. Aaron?
I'm glad we could be a part of the road trip. Ball 1 to Freitas. And speaking of the Dominican Republic and Robbie, when talking with Edwin about the series in Puerto Rico, reminded of the fact that after the hurricane hit, Robbie reached out to Edwin and invited him to come train in the offseason with him in the Dominican. It's awfully nice of Robinson Cano. Edwin, his entire family is in Puerto Rico, and although they were certainly impacted by the hurricane, they were able to get back there and have a somewhat normal sense of life. So Edwin did go back to Puerto Rico during the offseason. Awfully nice of Robinson Cano. One out, one on here in the bottom of the 8th inning. Ready, the leadoff walk. Line to left field, base hit, David Freitas. This rolls into the corner. Heredia tearing around third base, and Heredia scores from first. Mariners around the board.
Talking about David earlier in the ball game, came into this game with a .280 batting average. Played well, and he'll pick up an RBI, go along with that double. First run for the Mariners, off speed pitch. He lines it down into the corner. Left fielder Reddick was more towards left center.
Brings up D. Gordon. In play, Correa. Chest high hop off the mound. There's out number 2. Well, Freitas into third base.
And A.J. Hinch when you make a pitching change.
Segura due up next. Freitas at third base, 2 outs. Jacks from Jack in the Box by BNSF, sponsor of the BNSF Blast. By CenturyLink, connecting you to the power of the digital world. And by Money Tree, proud to make a donation to Mariners Care for every Mariners win. Hector Rondon, the new pitcher, up on the mound for the Astros.
Hard throwing right-hander, fastball at 96 miles an hour, has a slider to go with it.
Pitch missing to Segura at 98.
7 appearances, 2.5 ERA, 10 strikeouts. Hasn't walked anybody. It's in 7 innings of work.
Freitas the man out at third. RBI double from the Mariners catcher to put Mariners on the board for the first time today. Line to left field. Freitas scores. Segura hustling into second base. Close call. Safe.
And a look at it. He can hit a good fastball. That fastball at 96 miles an hour and lines it into left field. Hustling right out of the batter's box to get in there with a double. Gets to the middle of the lineup.
See what Robbie can do here.
Cano 1 for 3 on the afternoon.
Taking strike 1. Outside of 98. One and two now. Mariners runs coming in this 8th inning. They could get nothing going off of Charlie Morton through 7. The 1-2.
Pretty good fastballs right on the outside corner. And the last one at 98. Perfect pitch.
That's got to be nice for A.J. Hinch when the guy you call on for the first time in the series, pitching in a non-save situation, is blowing 98.
Yeah. And again, 10 strikeouts, hasn't walked anybody, so obviously pretty good command overall too.
Through the left side, base hit. Segura gets the stop sign at third. Now we have seen what Reddick can do in the outfield with his arm. Well, things getting interesting here in the 8th inning. Cano aboard for the second time.
And another solid line drive on a fastball up in the zone. The first fastball he was able to see in the middle of the plate, and lines it into left field. His second base hit of the ball game. You're right, Aaron. Nelson Cruz walking to the plate. See what happens if he can walk into a fastball. See how far he can hit it. Kyle Seager waiting on deck. Brad Peacock getting loose in the pen. Another look at the swing by Robbie in our Primera Supermo. And again, he's, as far as left-handed hitters go, he's one of the best at hitting that high fastball, a good fastball above the belt. You typically get on top of it and line it the other way, and that's exactly what happens on that fastball. Head always right in the hitting area. Great look at his eyes right there as he drives it into left field.
Two outs, runners in the corners for Cruz. First pitch strike. Oh, 2. Into center. Marisnik not having to move much to end the inning. A couple to our left, but 2 runs do score for the Mariners as we go to the 9th.
Here at Ford Sports Desk, you guys know this by now. We're suckers for adorable kids and adorable dogs, and this one has both. My family loves the Mariners, and I love what they love. Go Mariners. This is from Minnie the Pug's voice. I assume the hashtag to use is Where I Root, presented by Alaska Airlines. Little guy dreaming big on the field before the game. You just realize how far it is. They have to hit those home runs to get him out. And then I like this one, the Ben Gamble cap on. So that's a party in the front and party in the back. As we get you back to Aaron, the hashtag to use is Where I Root, presented by Alaska Airlines. That Gamble cap, you guys, is just the gift that keeps on giving. I never saw you in one, Aaron, though, because that would be spectacular.
Oh, Angie, I can't ruin the brand. Come on, you know that. 1-1. Simsy looked great in it, though. It's a fine pic that he tweeted to us at Root Sports yesterday. Hopefully all things going well for Dave, who's having his Achilles operation today. Reddick, a charge to right field. Haniger just looking. Second home run today by the Astros. Reddick's fourth this year.
On a 1-1 pitch. 82 miles an hour. Looked like it was in the middle of the plate.
Stassi a homer earlier. His previous at bat. There it is. Dave looking good.
Yeah.
I'm just impressed that he got the hat.
That's a great point. That's a great point. I went into the team store today and I saw one, but they had it. The hair was braided. I thought maybe that was something you would like, Aaron.
I told you I want the man bun version of it, Mike. I'll try to fit in better. A walk to Stassi. Back to the home run from Reddick.
Exit velocity at 100. 374 feet.
Freitas out to chat with Blanc. Marisnik due up next. One of Marisnik. Mike, have you gotten used to the fact by now that the Astros are actually an American League team? Go back to 2013. That was for any team who switches leagues, kind of a strange transition, and for the Astros it was a full makeover, new uniforms, new logo, everything.
Yeah, I think at this point, yes, just because they're in this division and we see them so many times every single year. But yeah.
Their previous glory days all came in the National League. Of course, Scott Service, a former Astro. Got Darryl Kyle's no-hitter. Haniger, Cano. It's Mitch to make the catch.
That brings up a point that I really have no idea, Aaron, but on a switch like that, does the team have any say in it?
Oh yeah. Or does the commission just call up one day?
Yeah.
Hey, Mr. Crane,
we're going to make a change.
Here's Springer. 1 out, 1 on, a run in. Well, after this one today, we are up in the skies late this afternoon. 3-city road trip about to start. The Rangers for 3 over the weekend, then to Chicago to take on the White Sox. We'll finish with what will turn out to be 4 games in Cleveland to finish up the road trip. Mariners will have a day off after that trip. Day off at home. Your next chance to come out to Safeco Field and see the Mariners will be on May the 1st. 6-day homestand, 3 against the A's, 3 against the Angels. We'll be seeing Ohtani, who blister and everything apparently is in the lineup today for Mike Scioscia as a DH. Albert Pujols closing in on 3,000 hits. Three and 1. Split Seager and Segura into left field where Heredia finds it. First hit today for Springer. Angels and Red Sox continuing their series, and the Red Sox, I mean, this is incredible. You think about a franchise, Mike, that's been around since the dawn of time. They're after their best start in franchise history, and we mentioned it last night. They've already hit 4 grand slams.
15 and 2.
Lost on opening day. They have lost 1 time since then. Strike 1 to Altuve. Mariners will be seeing the Red Sox here at Safeco Field in mid-June, and then we'll be headed to Fenway Park near the end of that month. Hopefully they will have cooled down by then. 1 out, 2 on here in the 9th. Now, speaking of the National League days for the Astros, Altuve, the only player ever to represent the same team in the All-Star game in both leagues. Gordon angling back, D to the track, can't make the catch, and it's the ground ruled up. Altuve making up for lost time of this series. He reaches for the 4th time.
Also has 4 RBIs in the game. We'll take another look at it. All the way out to dead center field. Gordon trying to make the catch, hits off the warning track and bounces over the fence.
Runners at second and third. Stassi scores. The walk comes around. Strike 1 to Correa. Haniger in right field. 2 down. Meanwhile, Springer tags, crosses home. 9-2 Houston. A 3-run inning for the Astros here in the 9th. You know, to tell you how hard the draft is, we were talking about scouting Carlos Correa as a high schooler in Puerto Rico. The Astros, of course, were so bad, 100 loss season after 100 loss season, that they had the #1 overall pick 3 consecutive years, and they only hit on 1 of the 3, and that was Correa. Think about Mark Appel, who they drafted out of the Pac-12, out of Stanford. Appel has, well, he was traded to Philadelphia in the Ken Giles deal and has since retired. He's out of the game, never made it to the big leagues. Brady Aiken, the other. They never ended up signing Aiken because of a problem with the physical. He was drafted the next year, middle of the pack in the 1st round by the Indians, and to make it up to the big leagues. It is not an easy thing. Last chance for the Mariners coming up. Today.
Well, it's kind of what we expected. Not only are they talented and pitching well, but you only have plus stuff. Fastball has really been consistent outside of Keuchel. Everybody throwing over 95 miles an hour. For Charlie Morton, topped out at 98 with the great curveball. 7 innings, just 3 hits. Didn't walk anybody, 8 strikeouts. See the 86 pitches that he threw. 59 of those for strikes.
You get to a point if you're A.J. Hinch. Could Charlie Morton have gone deeper? 86 pitches? Yeah, he could have, but with the score and the fact that your relievers aren't being worked that much.
And he was hit on the elbow earlier in the ball game. Get him out of there. And one of the relievers trying to get some work is Brad Peacock. 7 appearances on the year, 4.15 ERA for him. Opponent's hitting just 206. But you're right. With that group, have to get some innings for the relievers. May have been a little bit easier the first week or so because everybody on their pitch counts and first time around, but since then, pitching deeper into the game, their pitch counts go up. Kyle looking for his first hit of the ball game.
The opposite way, Reddick. The Fisher now. This is kind of a tough homestand to assess, Mike, for the Mariners because just of how extreme it has been. Mariners taking the first 2 against the A's. They see Manaea, who looked as good as we've seen Sean Manaea in the finale. So the Mariners can't sweep the A's, but they do get the series win. They take 2 games out of 3. And then you have the Astros for 4. You like having them in your home ballpark, but their starting pitchers have lived up to the bill each time. It's going to be an interesting road trip for the Mariners coming off what we saw here at home.
I would agree with that. I think they need, they're going to have a couple of series against Texas. Going to Cleveland. That's going to be tough as far as the pitching goes. Chicago obviously trying to figure things out, but offensively they're going to have to get things turned around a little bit. And we talked about it. Mike Zunino going to join the club in Arlington. Although Freitas has played well. But American League West is a tough division.
It sounds like we could be seeing Ryan Healy by the end of the trip if all things go well on his rehab.
I had a chance to see him run yesterday. He looked good.
And they're getting the makeup out for Brad. There we go. Looking good. Good, Bradley. Val's always there to help. Mariners post game presented by Alaska Airlines will be with you. This one comes to a close. Two to Haniger. 1 out left for the Mariners. And ready for the second time. A walk and a run scored in the 8th.
Talking about the trip to Arlington, Mike Minor, the left-hander, going a 4.6 ERA for him. They're going to see Martin Perez on Sunday. He really struggled here in the early going, but Cologne going on Saturday. We'll see what he can do after the last game that he had pitched, which I was able to watch. And again, just a lot of fastballs, changing speeds, and a lot of movement on the fastball. We'll see how the Mariners handle him on Saturday. He and James Paxton are going to go at it. Felix tomorrow.
That'll be the only hitters meeting of the year where Edgar has more lifetime experience against the starting pitcher.
Good point.
Well, he and Ichiro, to be fair. We looked that up last night. Passed Altuve. A walking out single for Guillermo, who took over for Ben Gamble.
And then a solid base hit on a fastball. When you're not getting regular time and you've been sitting on the bench and you get into the ball game and you make it to first base a couple times, feel pretty good about it. Especially if you hit the ball hard like Heredia just did.
0-1 to Romine. Oh, 2. This will go down as the first series loss of the season for the Mariners. Three series wins, a couple of splits during this 4-game set against the Astros. Of course, one of those 2 splits, the series against the Twins, which is hanging there until May when the final game is made up. Still 2-2. I think overall impressions, though, Mike, of this Astros team that was scuffling a little bit after a hot start. Even with the lineup being down, haven't quite caught their stride. In the era of lack of starting pitching, the Astros seem to have all of it, and it has not taken much as this ball game has officially come to a close, and the Astros take 3 out of 4.
Yeah, you're right, and that's basically what it came down to in this series. Just really dominant performance by the starting 4 for Houston. And we didn't see Verlander. Again, the Mariners, this is their first series loss. Go out on the road and hopefully get things turned around, get the offense going again.
Mariners postgame presented by Alaska Airlines starts right now. Val, Bradley, it's all yours.
Oh, gentlemen, thanks a lot for that. As the Astros do take the series, the first series loss for the Mariners, and win the last 3 games of the set. Today, we're going to break down pitching and offense. It appears to me they got to find a way to beat Houston, no doubt, but they got to find a way just to get the bats going, just back to themselves on offense.
Yeah, over the last few games, it's kind of been a lethargic exercise for the Mariners, not really driving the baseball. We haven't seen them hit the ball out of the ballpark. I think it was just Cruz and Cano had home runs in this series, but this is a ball club 1 through 9. It's going to be nice to get Mike Zunino back in. He's going to help add some punch when he gets down to Texas.
All right, well, we saw some great starting pitching by Houston in this series. They gave up just 3 earned runs in the 4 games. The starters, just 3 earned runs. And today, Charlie Morton, your local forward keys of the game. We talked about him being under the radar. A number 5 starter. My goodness, looks like a number 1 starter.
Yeah, and he struggled on the road. So you're hoping that he's going to kind of flounder a little bit out there today, but he certainly did not. He's got an above-average curveball. We saw that real sharp break, a lot of depth to it, dropping 12-6. But he was really good with his fastball today, really locating on both sides of the plate. He's got a little 2-seam comebacker, but finished with 8 strikeouts. He went 7 innings, scattered just those 3 hits, and his ERA drops all the way down to 0.72. So again, good quality starts by all of the Houston Astros pitchers. Mariners were fortunate to steal one against Dallas Keuchel, who went 9 innings and gave up only 2 runs in that first game.
And don't get Verlander in a 4-game set and still see unbelievably good pitching, which leads us to your second local forward keys of the game, trying to get the middle of the lineup going. It didn't happen again today.
Yeah, the middle of the lineup had really struggled coming into this game here today. Just 4 for 43 with 3 RBIs and 11 strikeouts. They mustered a couple of base hits here this afternoon, but not doing any of the damage. You know, this is 3 guys in the middle part of your order that can put some numbers up on the board, but right now the Houston Astros had their number. Nelson Cruz clearly not at 100%, having a difficult time running out there, and I think that injury is affecting the way he is attacking the baseball. It doesn't have that real thrust coming through the ball.
Well, on the Mariners side, Marco Gonzalez matching Morton strikeout for strikeout. 8 strikeouts. He's lifted in the 5th with 2 outs for Dan Altavilla. He walks Springer, bases loaded. Altuve to right center. Haniger playing a little shallow, can't get back. And Altuve, the little one, clears the bases, and that was the big blow. Made it 4-0 at this point. Astros going to win it by a score of 9-2, winning the last 3 games of the set. We'll talk about the upcoming road trip. Talk to the skipper as well. Keep it here.